This is Bite-Sized History with the Saints. Hi everyone, it's Megan.
And it's Bradley again.
So today we're going to go ahead and start talking about where we're going. Specifically, we are moving forward to Peru. Now this is kind of a great tie-in because this week Brad's Labs is actually in Peru.
Yeah, it actually is a nice little crossover, weirdly enough.
Yeah, we definitely don't get to do this very often because usually ours are on a very defined path, whereas...
Yeah, I'm just all over the world.
Yeah.
I go where I want to go.
Well, where other people direct you to go.
Well, yeah. But that's where I wanted to go, so it works out in the end.
Exactly. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So with us moving towards Peru, we have a couple of new ingredients that are available to us that we could have used before simply because trade was pretty active in that region, but we wanted to kind of space it out. So now this opens up a ton of ingredients for us that we could have used before based on trade, but we wanted to keep these a little more separated. These will include things
Gotta keep them separated.
We'll have more potatoes. This time we'll have tomatoes. And we're also going to have beans, which these beans include like green beans, navy beans, black beans.
Kidney beans.
Yeah, they all originate in Peru.
Yeah, having all these beans that are available to us, which every time I say beans, I think back to the Harry Potter game. I don't remember which one it is, but where he just runs around yelling, "The bean!" or something along them lines. I don't know. It's in the Call Me Kevin videos. So if you watch Call Me Kevin, that's where I get my references from.
I was going to say this man is very big on watching other YouTube videos.
Hey, you gotta stay up on people that aren't your competition.
Diversify.
Yeah. If I stay up on people that aren't my competition, then I know what's going on.
It's fair.
Yeah.
It's a fair statement. So back to the ingredients. We get to have another type of bean that we had not ever heard of. It's called the Lupin bean.
Which immediately made me think of werewolves, but, there's a lot of Harry Potter stuff today.
It is a lot of Harry Potter stuff.
Yeah.
Well, and immediately then, when we started looking it up, we saw that it's brought up a lot in Rome, in Roman history, and brought up a lot with Egyptian history. And this is one of those weird plants that it has multiple origin locations. This happens occasionally. Onions is another one of those.
Yeah, but this one was kind of weird because it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And to find it now and not have found it when we were doing, Egypt or Rome.
We haven't done Rome yet.
Fair enough. Mediterranean.
There you go.
Because it's widespread in the Mediterranean. But to not have found it when we were doing those, it's always fun, but infuriating.
Yeah, especially when we really needed variety on something.
Yeah. And, it's one of those, it's just like you want as much food as possible to go off of. And then we find something when we're on the other side of the world and find out, no, wait, this is pretty widespread across the planet. And it was cultivated in different parts of the planet at different times. It's not as if it was brought over from one group to the other. It's just one of those plants. It's like a coconut that's just kind of everywhere. Now, granted, they've broken them down into different genuses. The one that is in Peru is named something for Peru or something along those lines, but they're all the same thing. And it's nice to have that because then when we go back and revisit some of these places, we actually can go, okay, well, you know what, this is available to us now.
Exactly. And that's always the fun part about what we do is the getting to go back and do these. And not to mention, since we split up Europe, we only did Greece. We didn't go into Europe. So now being able to go back and do Mediterranean.
Early days when we had no idea what we were doing.
We really didn't. I'm going to be brutally honest. I think we were trying to go through timeline.
I don't know what we were doing, to be honest with you. All I know is that we were just doing what we did. And we've gotten a lot more refined since then.
We just kept going east, and that worked out really well for us.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the same thing with anything you do. As you do it enough and time goes on, time after time. But time goes on, you start to take and change up the way you're doing stuff, and you start to figure out new ways to do it, and you get better at it, presumably.
Hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I've been picking my nose now for 34 years, but I haven't gotten any better at it. So maybe that's one thing that I just need to figure out and not do anymore.
Maybe we'll just watch some YouTube videos. They'll explain it to you.
I do not want to watch any YouTube videos of people. No, no. That is a strong pass from me.
Oh, jeez.
Thank you. I have to live with that imagery now.
You're welcome. So yeah, now that we know the ingredients, putting together the dish shouldn't be too hard. I am going to try to find this time ricotta peppers, just because they are the ones that grow in the Andes, and it would be good to have. So I'm hoping I can find some dried ones this week so we can actually use them.
Yeah. Maybe this week's might be vegetarian as well. We might look to see if we can't find some fish, but that's probably not likely. And so it might just be a vegetarian meal, which nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, last week's meal was surprisingly decent. It wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible either.
Yeah.
With it being just really 1 or 2 ingredients.
It was 3 ingredients. Thank you very much.
My bad. This week we at least have some variety.
Yeah.
And when we're going to make a stew, it will actually stew. But yeah, the Peruvian time that we're in, I say time, Peruvian time, that doesn't make any sense. The area that we are geologically going to for our food fantasies, it opens us up to several different cultures. And the problem is that, I want to visit all those cultures, but when food didn't really vary much, it kind of makes it difficult to visit all those cultures. And Peru has a lot of different cultures. Everybody just thinks of the Inca, but before the Inca, there were several different cultures that all led up to them. You got the Paracas, the Nazca, the Wari. There's one I'm missing that starts with an M. But there's several different cultures that lead up to the Inca. And I would like to look at all those cultures, but yet again, they're all in the same geological location. So the food doesn't really change much, especially when a lot of those cultures just kind of assimilated other cultures into their culture. So yeah, it would be nice to stay in Peru a little bit longer, but unfortunately we're going to have to move.
Yeah, what we will do though is, of course, make sure that we talk about those different cultures when we write this up, because they all have their own significant influence into foods and how we eat the foods from those regions.
Well, I mean, it's vastly desert, so 1, growing food, difficult. 2, making enough of the food, even more difficult. But once you have made it, certain foods like beans, dry them out and they will last for a while. And in the desert, there's no, humidity or anything to rot them. So they just kind of last. But unfortunately, our time in Peru will be short-lived.
Dun, dun, dun. And then from there, we'll head up to Central America.
Yeah, and once we get to Central America, we're getting closer to home and foods that are really easily accessible.
Exactly. Though I am really excited. So one of the things that we got to do with Brazil for the dessert, just a small little taster, we got to use corn in the recipe. And I didn't think we were going to be able to use corn until we got to Mexico.
No, corn was very widely traded because corn grows so well and it produces so much food.
Yeah.
And it was very widely traded. And I didn't realize that she had this assumption. But no, corn, it grows really well, produces a lot. The kernels are easily stored, and it may have started in, Central-ish America. But the moment we started to cultivate it and started to produce larger cobs or ears of corn.
There you go.
Yeah, larger ears of corn. And there were so many different varieties of corn that it just exploded across the Americas. And that's one thing that is unfortunate is when we think of corn now, we think of yellow. And you may have some thoughts of other corn that is very multicolored, but they were so many different varieties of corn before we decided that the yellow corn was the one that we desired the most. And it's actually become quite an issue with farming of corn because they're more easily susceptible to disease. And it's the same thing with anything that we have over farmed and over cultivated. As we've gotten rid of the diversity inside of the food itself, it makes it to where it is more easily killed. And then we go, why are we having mass crop die-offs? Well, it's because we didn't diversify. We all decided this is the one we wanted, and it's too late now to go back and replant those others because we've long since made them extinct.
Well, not to mention what it does to the soil also when we over-farm a specific crop over and over and over again.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that's something that we only recently found out too. And I say only recently. I think it's something that, we've known for, I think ever since we were farming, really. And we've see it through the archaeological record that there was a massive farming and they didn't diversify. They used up all the nutrients in the soil and left. And it's something we've known, but humans are extremely stubborn and stupid. And we will refuse to change anything if we don't see an immediate benefit. If it's something that affects us down the road, so be it. We'll deal with it when we get there. And we see this in, climate change. We see this in the food that we eat. We see this in the wars we start. All of these things go, well, this is affecting me now. And that's one of the problems with humanity is we are very short-sighted. We don't like to think of the future, but then we love to fantasize about the future. Humans are stupid. We are a stupid species that does not deserve this planet.
That was a very Magneto speech.
The problem is that I'm not evolved. I don't have that next level of mutation that needs to
happen so you can move past it.
Yeah. But no, that's my tyrant for today.
It's a good one, though, because, a lot of times when we think of over-farming or destruction of soil, we kind of think back to the Dust Bowl. And maybe it's because we're from Kansas. Yeah,
and that was such a prevalent thing for us. Anybody listening that, is from the Midwest probably grew up learning about the Dust Bowl. Especially when, Kansas, Oklahoma, it hurt us hard.
And or also anyone who was forced to read Grapes of Wrath.
Yeah. Yeah. That book.
It's not terrible, but it's been too long.
That's the thing is, it's not a terrible book if 90% of that book had been cut out.
Yeah.
I don't need chapter after chapter of a turtle walking across the road.
How dare you? The turtle is a metaphor.
Yeah, it's a metaphor that could be easily distilled down into, a couple sentences. We didn't need, I don't even know how many chapters. And I love turtles, but there's a point that you just can't anymore. I read the comic book still. And so, I love seeing turtles.
By comic book, he, of course, means Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and not the Grapes of Wrath comic book.
No, that's my favorite comic book of all time. I love reading about Depression era, Dust Bowls and moving to find out that you don't have a job and that you're just, SOL. I love that stuff. It's what gets me up in the morning. But you know what? I'm done.
That's fair.
I'm done.
So what we're going to probably do is end the podcast soon for this week.
Unless I go off on another tyrant.
Yeah, that's true. This is one of those really weird weeks. Tirade.
Yeah.
Not tyrant.
Well,
You are a tyrant.
No, I'm not. I'm not a tyrant. You're a tyrant.
I am.
Yeah. Methodically controlling every aspect of these podcasts. Not letting me drop the F-bomb. We had to do a cut.
Oh my gosh, it was hilarious. But no, I always kind of find these in between weeks kind of a pain, just because we're planning, but we haven't planned enough. I don't know if I just need to be better at
Time management.
Yeah, that's probably the better statement.
Which is hilarious. Somebody that's a product manager.
Yeah, but I do that for a living. I don't want to do that in my personal life.
Product owner now?
I'm a product owner.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But yeah, no, you should be better at time management.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
So that's where we're at for this week. The podcast on Monday next week will probably be a lot of me talking and less Brad, but
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes. He's going to be recovering from an outpatient surgery on his throat, so.
Yeah, nothing. Well, as of right now, we don't know anything. So it's nothing dire as far as we know. But they're shoving a tube down my throat into my lung.
And picking something out of his lung.
Yeah, so
I imagine it's like a claw machine from...
I hope it's better than a claw machine. I don't want multiple attempts at this. I do not want this doctor going, missed it. Insert another quarter. One, where's he inserting the quarter into? All right. And two, he should be better than that.
I wonder if I get a watch. If I get a camera from the other room and I get to watch it go bloop.
You wouldn't watch.
Oh, I would not at all.
You would pass out. You'd be in the hospital bed next to me.
Yeah, no, I'm going to spend the whole time on my work computer doing other things than focusing on you having something down your throat.
But yeah, we'll give you an update Monday, and I'll should hopefully be mostly recovered. They say it only takes a day or so, but it might just be a little bit more of Megan talking and less me ranting. So you might actually enjoy the podcast.
So for that's really it for this week. So I hope everybody has a great week, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, have a good week, guys.